rims, especially as level 6 comes out here for a Ringmaster. But I think for Talon, this is the one concern I have for Ivory in this game, is that Talon's set and run is pretty damn good. You've got the Wind Ranger to follow through or set up for the Lina. You've got Stampede to get in and out of these fights, especially if the Pit of Malice isn't out. You know, you're just going to be able to run away and not really care for the catch out from the side of Ivory. And it can be a little bit dangerous, right? Like, you're running Tiny. Tiny's a very high-tempo sort of core nowadays. You'd want Blink, you'd want Echo Saber. It looks like in this case it's Echo Saber into Shadowblade / Silver Edge to line up here for Aizen. And if those timings fall off, then, I mean, Tiny's still going to be tanky and a nuisance, but you miss out on that burst window with Avatos. You're not going to be able to instantly nuke heroes down, especially as WS starts to build up some barriers himself, get some utility going for the team. So I do feel like for Ivory, they're going to have to really finagle around. Like, it's kind of down to Ken. Ken's mid has to draw at the very minimum equal to Mikado, and he has to work himself out some good angles to rotate and to start snowballing with the Galvanize.
Well, look at this, Jonathan. Smoke on smoke situation. Ivory hanging around the bottom side. You do have Aizen still hanging around that top side, but it's going to be by that T1 tower. He's okay. Talon's still wrapping around onto the high ground of that dire jungle now. So Aizen hopefully has the sense to not move in, and in fact you'll see the Watcher being taken anyway. So they're very well aware the smoke was there from Talon. They'll just completely avoid them.
The battle begins.
And Talon don't bother trying. I mean, you do see Jokam and Aizen fighting over a bounty room, but it does go 2 for 2 anyway. Nice little start for both sides. Very even kind of start. Of course, I suppose we can start with the mid lane for once. John, you got Ken here up against Makoto. This should be a Lina-favored matchup.
And it should. For some reason, Drake giving a laugh react to Huku's Have Fun.
Smiley
It's rather
faces.
interesting.
Oh, here we go.
Smiley facing. Already starting with the pauses, as is traditional, and start ahead with the go. This matchup for Mikado shouldn't be too bad. Again, you poke pretty nice with Terminal Runway. You poke really nice as Lina in general. You were nerfed out on your Shard, so the damage output in that key timing would say Shard Kaya isn't as amazing, but I feel like this hero is actually just a little bit tankier. That barrier on Laguna might actually solve a lot more of her issues and not really take away from her burst potential, as it felt like the added damage on Fiery Soul was a little bit overkill anyhow. So having Lina that can just walk in with Shard, Laguna later on, is pretty scary. In lane, again, Ken can just keep playing with a Static Remnant, slide him forward, and get some CS, but you're not stopping Mikado. Unless he severely oversteps, you are certainly not going to be zoning out this Lina anytime soon. And he'll always have the poke back with the Dragon Slave and a couple of right clicks with that range advantage. So rune control is going to be key. We haven't really seen it in these qualifiers, but we used to see a lot more emphasis into the even just 2 and 4 minute water runes for the top-ups, and that is going to be pivotal for both sides to maintain their lane. So I'd like to see if Ivory has any sort of commitment to try to make that hellish for Mikado, at least in terms of refills here.
Well, we'll find out. Of course, looking up at the side lane, top lane, or rather bot lane, at the very least, Drick and Rupido. We up against Natsumi and Cuckoo. For now, things going pretty okay for Natsumi, but it's certainly not the freest lane in the world. Rupido's having a pretty good time as well, and as you can see, Drick being pretty annoying as the Phoenix, and it does start, like this Blinding Sun innate, I keep complaining about it, but I think people really underestimate how stupid the mischance gets after a bit of time.
Yeah, it gets ridiculously high, considering how often, say, Fire Spirit's damage procs. Like, that burn is constantly applying more stacks on you, and it does make it hard for Natsumi to farm up. That is mitigating some of these shortcomings for Rupido in this lane. Like we were talking about, Monkey King enjoying the melee matchup, as WS does manage to clean top. A little bit of a misstep out from Grims, but you will have to be careful. Like, every single time Brick doesn't have Fire Spirits, that is a little bit of an opening for your Monkey King to actually look for that leverage into the jungle.
Absolutely. Top lane certainly not as hard as it would have been last series around for WS and Jokam. I mean, you're up against a Tiny and a Ringmaster. As I say that, they are trying onto Jokam, but they just don't have the damage output. Nice little stun from WS to ensure there was no real follow-up, though. Aizen's still trying for maybe a tree throw. In fact, it was a toss into a tree throw. but doesn't actually end up throwing the tree in the end. Now he's fighting for a healing Lotus, but WS will happily take that fight. And Eisen, I don't know if this is really the smart move here, sir. It is not. He's gone. I appreciate Eisen. He's trying to play on the edge, trying to snipe Jokam, trying to snipe a healing Lotus, but you're playing against a Centaur. It's not that easy.
Not an easy hero to burst down. You do have good magic damage, of course, but not nearly enough at this point to try to melt through. When going 1-1-1, maybe by 4 with a level 2 Avalanche, it starts to feel a little bit better. Even then, so much HP on WS, and now he's got the room to kind of get some more going for himself, as well as he has his second bracer flying in off the back of those kills, and full wand. So, you're going to have to set your eyes elsewhere. Looks like there is a rotation for the 4-minute water rune, so both sides are emphasizing the bottle pop-ups just a lot tad bit here.
Jokam. And Grim's going at it. So both are going to just back their way out. No problems here. Mid lanes turned out to be very even, by the way. 21-5 and 21-6 for both the mid laners. So very even affair between the Storm Lina. Which is probably really good news if you're Ken, because it should have been an advantageous matchup for the Lina. It seems like Ken has still managed to even out very, very nicely. It seems like Jokam is hanging around, annoying Ken. In fact, Ken, as I say, that might just be dead. Makoto, Dragon Slave, it's going to connect. Was that my fault? I don't know, John.
Yeah,
that might have been my fault.
Always the caster's fault. It's always the caster's fault, you know?
Bottom lane?
Talking about player. Oh.
I didn't say his name. And Rupido, he'll be fine. Thank goodness for that.
I will want to make mention. Shout out to Mr. Lane for some reason calling me in the middle of a cast. Thank you.
Oh, I've done,
that
I've
ringing,
done it again,
that ringing tone in my head. It's amazing.
I've done it here, John. This one's actually my fault. I thought you were safe, sir. I promise. I promise. I thought you were safe. Lane's calling you right now, is he, John?
Yeah, he rang me up, accidentally, instantly dropped it. Like, sorry. I'm like, dude, I'm working. You're not working.
Pick it. No.
Oh,
pick it up. Put it on speaker. Put it to the mic. I want to talk to you. Put it up.
Wouldn't that be a tale? Like,
next time, immediately pick up the phone. Don't even hesitate, John. You have my permission. Pick up the phone. I want to talk to you.
Can you imagine next time in a pause we just call the managers up and say, "Hey, what's up? Welcome to the John X Mike podcast," with some game running in the background, as it's starting to pile up for Talon, right? 4-0, 2K lead coming in. All the lanes looking fantastic. Again, we're not seeing those weaker lanes as Ken.
Oh, these are really nice rotations here from Talon. Very smart rotation. Ken still a while away from level 6. At least Grims does take the invis, but they had a sentry here from Jokam, and Grims is going to narrowly avoid the power shot. But it won't matter in the end, will it, Jonathan? It will not. Makoto with a double kill on the Lina. And Ken again, Jonathan, he's stuck at level 5.5. Makoto now level 7. And if you're Talon, you're just hoping to find Ken one last time before he hits that 6. But he should have it with this creep win.
Should find it. You know, at the least, the silver lining for Ken, because he's dying before 6, he's not losing his free galvanized, right? Like that's a silver lining. He has 3 from leveling up the ball lightning. So
you can't lose what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly it. And he's just going to have to try to recover. This is going back to the issues we were talking about at the draft. Like, all of this game, this entire game for the side of Ivory is kind of dependent on Ken. He's the guy that needs to connect into the side lanes to look for these kills. And when you just hit 6 on Storm at 7 minutes in, no rune control to speak of, you're not really in a position to get that done. Being aggressive down bot again.
They are. Rupido definitely has no way out of this scenario. He's gone. Another nice pickup here for Natsumi. It makes me think as well, while we're on the topic of the galvanized stacks and having nothing to lose. What if, John, because at some point the devs are going to have no idea what to change, right? What if we just added, like, a debt dealer or something, like a loan shark on the map somewhere with really high interest? No, but think about it. Think about it, right? You take some debt out. Hold on a minute. Cuckoo's in trouble. In fact, Drick's in trouble now. Bottom lane, Drick is going to go down. Cuckoo will survive. Very nice kill here for Natsumi, but think about it, John. You go to the loan shark. You take out 1,000 gold. He's charging you 20% interest, right? And it's like every 5 minutes. So every time you get a bit of gold as support, it just instantly disappears back to the bank. Think about that, John. How great would that be?
it would be great. We've had this discussion in a previous episode of the John X Mike podcast, Mike. We were even theorizing, like stocks,
Yeah.
trading commodities. Like
course.
maybe branch value goes up and down depending on how many people buy it. It's supply and demand.
They should do it. They should do it. In fact, why not make the items in Dota 2 NFTs, Sean? That's the real genius move. That's the real move. Think about it. How great would that be?
That'd be amazing. Mint everything up on the blockchain right now. Can you imagine? No. You know what? Why do we even bother with Dota? Just let Dota be running. I don't know, some sort of a miner. Just
That's
let
right.
it mine.
That's
it.
right. Maybe that's what gaming's secretly doing to us, John. Every time we load up a game, maybe we're actually mining. Maybe that's why my GPU's sitting at 90% right now for whatever reason. Maybe that's what's happening. Joe Cam,
You know what?
Joe Cam, going for that Watcher. We'll just windrun away. They'll lock him down with the Pit of Malice. Surely he dies here, Joe Cam. He will go. Zip it. Ken wants more. He's found Makoto, but Makoto has a shield rune active, and there's no follow-up to him. So they do get Joe Cam, who was completely out of position, but that does cost them 4 heroes down to the bot lane. Just look what Cuckoo's doing in the meantime. Just casually pushing the mid lane with that liquid fire. Nothing they can do about it.
One of the strengths of that hero, slow whittling down of objectives, of course. And I have to say, it's fascinating to see Makoto's build. He's just going back for the Maelstrom now. So you get rid of Magic Lina, you're getting right-click Lina back into the picture, which is fantastic, is it not?
It is.
In as much as this game changes, it kind of stays the same. Because I remember casting a lot of NADPC, casting a lot of those times, and we were seeing right-click Lina. You got the next year we got Magic Lina back. Now we're back to right-click. The cycle continues, Mike.
Hold on a minute. Jump in. Ken wanted an arcane rune for himself. Sadly, it spawned bottom, so Makoto will find another bonus for himself here, and of course wants the mid-tier 1 tower while he's around. Nice light strike array. Ken, be careful, sir.
Ooh.
I thought he was going to Laguna for a second, honestly. I thought Makoto might just pop the arcane and go for it, but I suppose Ken would have probably been able to dodge it with the ball lightning anyway. So in we go. Talon, easy secure on the tier 1 mid. Only Grimm's around to defend, and obviously it's not going to be enough. In fact, Drick will make his way over as well, but it's just a waste of time at this stage. Does try for a deny at least, doesn't get it.
I mean, this is opening so much map space across the side lanes for Natsumi and WS to just freeform. Natsumi's pretty much been uncontested, working onto a Battle Fury and the Monkey King. WS has had so much free space up top, invading the jungle. Has his Blade Mail up, not too far off from the Blink. Has the Stampede in case things do go really bad for the side of Talon. And for the side of Ivory, they're just not at the point where they can kind of play just yet. Echo Saber for Aizen still a ways off. Again, he is going for Shadow Blade over Blink. So you're going to need that on top before your Tiny's expected to rotate in. You've got the Fiend's Gate, but who do you really tie that into with? There's really not much available yet for you to even consider a play. Ken is somewhat ready. 4 Galvanized stacks up, has the Soul Ring for emergency mana. Can kind of connect, like they have an option to try to play with Supernova and say Pit of Malice, but there's no clear opportunity really presenting itself. And you're not durable enough to cop through a lot of the damage from Talon if they do decide to clump up. Again, your lane matchups just didn't go the way you'd want them to. I think this Underlord pick throughout these qualifiers does not look too sharp. On the side of Ivory, though, we'll try to go out with a smoke and try to utilize and get some action out on Ken. WS would be a juicy target, but he has 2k HP with a Blade Mail. Not really the safest target to go on.
I mean, Joe Cam broke the smoke anyway. They're going to try and zip forward, but yeah, it's a lost cause. I think Ken would probably be lucky that the Centaur wasn't there. They're obviously trying to abuse the fact that they've got the egg available on Drick as well, so would make life very hard in terms of just trying to deal with Ken if there's an egg right behind him, giving all that mischance on top, but they just don't find the opening. And if you're Talon right now, like considering you've already found almost all the towers for the tier 1s, the only one standing now being the bottom one, that you can just sit back and relax. In fact, look at this, mid lane, they're going to try for Joe Cam. He wind runs his way out. Do they dive? They will, and now they want to fight. They'll take down Joe Cam, but what's it going to cost? What's it going to cost? Oh, Ken, what are you doing? What are you doing?
That was definitely a little bit too greedy. I think they got carried away a little bit. They've been happy enough to just kill off Jokam. He's the 2 deaths, the 2 kills that Ivory has found. But it's just diving into a tier 1, still a very healthy tier 1 as well. Not something can clear out with a lot of TPs on hand. Talon's just been very laid back. No TPs having to be expended. It's optimistic. Again, you could argue this is space. You could argue you're building up on Aizen. He's got the Echo, but
This could be a good one. This will be a good fight. If they can get at least someone worth getting. Cuckoo's not really worth getting, but they'll take it. Issue is, Jonathan, that's your whole team down at bottom lane to secure a Jakira.
yeah, Talon's ready. They're still in position here. Blink on WS.
Egg drop. Makoto's probably going to have to ignore that. Zip forward from Ken, but he's a little bit short, so the egg is going to explode, but catches nobody. They're still trying for Makoto. Boundless strike off the mark. Makoto, he will die. A good start to this fight so far for the dire end, but the fight does continue as Natsumi goes down now. Aizen with the avalanche toss taking him out. A very nice fight from Ivory. And for Talon, I mean, they went into that 4v5. They knew Cuckoo was dead. So, you know, I appreciate the confidence, but maybe a little bit too much confidence.
And it's a good read from the side of Ivory. Right? Like, they forced the fight, not just because Cuckoo's dead, but they know Stampede's down. There's no easy bailout for Mikoto to run away from the egg, even though they don't have Pit and Malice to entrap him.
They're going again. I mean, WS does have that Stampede now up with Blink Dagger ready. So it looks like he wants to play with that power spike he's got. He's going to wrap around. In fact, never mind. He'll go back down to the bottom lane, trying for Rupido. Just wants the quick snipe. And they should eventually have him, and they do. And with that, of course, the tier 1 bottom tower going to be easily dealt with.
You compensate a little bit, but you have managed to recover quite a fair bit here on the side of Ivory, right? You're getting some early activity out from Aizen. Suddenly he's coming out with Blitz Knuckles up. The Shadow Blade's not going to be too far off. You can start to join these initiations. They get some decent value out from the first egg of Drick. And you are recovering some of those galvanized stacks on Ken, despite kind of jumping a little bit too far in a couple of these fights. They will surrender the Tormentor, which is another big gold injection coming out here for Talon. And the free shard out for Cuckoo is always a welcome addition as well, with the Liquid Fire and Liquid Frost now. But Ivory is still keen to play. I mean, I like this understanding they have. Even though sometimes it does fall flat in its face, they know they have to keep that pressure up with the smokes. They're just playing with Ken on the 2 supports, and it's a hit and run. Although WS is a little bit too tanky.
He's a big boy. I mean, that Blade Mail is not going to make it easy. Cuckoo's behind him. He's the target. They'll jump in on Cuckoo. They'll take the easy one. But WS looks like he wants to jump. He will not, though. So nice little pickup from Ivory. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you like to see. Just the quick pickups for Ken. Don't overextend. Just take what you get and get the hell out of there.
Just rinse and repeat. Buy that time for the rest of the team. Hold out until some ores are built up in Rupido. I think that's where the game starts to complicate a little bit for Talon. Like, he's got the Atos up now on the Underlord. You've got the double root coming in, and the stack root, of course, as you stay in that pit, which can start to make it pretty tough, especially for Natsumi, who is relying on kind of trying to jump in and out of these fights. He doesn't quite have his BKB up just yet. So there's a window where these forced fights from Ivory will, again, catch her Monkey King out in an awkward spot. And the side of Talon aren't really able to cross the river as confidently as we've been seeing them with some of these gold leads early on. Like, we're 17 minutes in, they're relatively stuck on their side of the map. There's still a lot of area for Ivory to try to play this farm game on. And again, even though the lead is at 6k for Talon, which is a significant amount, you are building up an Aizen, you're recovering on Ken to an extent. Yukaya's up, the Sanj isn't too far off. Locking in the Storm can be a little bit of an issue because you don't have those stable stuns for yourself. You're reliant on a Hoof Stomp, you're reliant on maybe a really good Shackle out from Chokam. Easier said than done.
Well, Ken thought he might get caught there for a second. He does zip his way back from WS. Doesn't seem like they're going to really commit for anything too big right now, Ivory. They're just going to back off. And again, Talon are more than happy to play a slower game. They understand they are well and truly in the lead, and probably understand they've got some power spikes here with some big items that they can wait for. Power Rune, though, could be a big deal considering you do have a Storm, and they are going to at least find an illusion first. Not exactly what you want for Ken, but he's hoping for another. But he won't get it. Haystrom picked up by WS. He wants to fight. Could he find a big... Oh, he has!
Oh.
He has! He found the 3-man! Oh, no! I'll tell you what, John, you could see that coming from a mile away. You saw it. It was slow motion. Perfect stunt from WS.
Yeah, beautiful readout from WS. And the side of Ivory just not clumped up enough, I would say. Like, if you had Rupido a little bit closer, not within the stun range, of course, but just close enough to get the pit, just close enough to maybe back up this egg with a little bit of movement backwards there for Drick. Could have been a decent turn potential, but still having that option in Aizen to reveal that Shadow Blade. Instead, you lose a couple of heroes, you lose Aegis now as well. Natsumi has a backup with that secondary life. He's only about 900 gold away from the full BKB. And you're going to hit critical mass in Talon soon. Double BKBs coming out for Mikado and for Natsumi. Fixes a lot of the issues they have in these fights. Suddenly that egg, the mischance, isn't going to be feeling so great. You're not concerned about the fire spirits. You're not concerned about the storm burst damage. Or the tiny burst damage either. And you're just free to control these engagements. So for Ivory, even though they're playing into Aegis, they still have to kind of take these chances. Like, they've got to try to slow down these BKB timings, because once it's up, you're fully reliant on just Aizen trying to thwack heroes down, and he's just not at that point yet where Tiny's just a big mean beast. And he's got his shard, he has the permanent tree grab buff up on him. I mean, it's a decent amount of output, but not enough to really burst, considering what Talon has on hand.
The smoke up. Ivory with the 4-man smoke. Aizen's going to join his team. Of course, they always have the Fiend's Gate to join in here with Rupido. Big wraparound through the mid-river into that Radiant Triangle for Ivory. Talon, though, they're hanging on the eastern side of the map. They're more than happy to just farm that area. In fact, they found an Arcane Rune. Cuckoo's just standing by. Jocam's going to go ahead and take it for himself. It almost seems like they know the fight's coming. Talon very well prepped if they do start a fight from Ivory's end of things, and they're not going to go for Jocam again, are they? I think they learnt from last time. Though Aizen might try to blow him up.
Oh.
He sees him. Jocam's out of there. And Ken thought better of jumping in. He's not doing that another time.
Even though the Jocam kill wouldn't have been the biggest kill anyhow, but rather unfortunate, Aizen smoke breaks under a sentry with just enough vision on the edge. Trying to give Jocam that info. So a lot of time wasted. Lead built up to 9k for Talon. Looking to pressure up top, still working as a unit. Using Cuckoo as bait. See if someone bites.
We shall see. Cuckoo not going to get caught. He'll just take the Shrine of Wisdom. They are still trying to contest. Here comes Aizen, but WS again. Double stun out. Ken, though, in the backside does get shackled up here. This could be a pretty horrible team fight. They'll drop the wheel, but is it going to matter? The chase is on. Stampede has been committed. Ken's going to zip away. Looks like they have caught themselves a Ringmaster, and that'll be Grims to go down as now Aizen also being jumped. Barely avoids the stun here from Makoto. And it might be time to leave now, because Ken has regened a little bit. He can come back in for this fight. In fact, he's been caught now. The ice path from Cuckoo. Not going to really hold him down long enough, though. They'll move on to Aizen once again. Aizen dropping low. They'll get at least the Aegis off of the monkey kick. So Natsumi's down. Meanwhile, WS, he's having a look for Aizen, but the Invis is going to save his life, so instead they'll take Ken's life. Aizen? Oh, Jocam. He's got a power shot. Does he want to try? No, he does. Aizen gets away. Yes.
I wish they just gave back the global power shot range for the kill shot.
True.
Why not? Right? Like, you would take the chance if you had global range. You're like, all right, let's give it a shot here. See if it works out. You're happy enough. Again, Talon has just been pretty ready. Using Cuckoo as bait. They've got great strategizing. They had vision in the area. They're playing around where they have solid control.
Oh, he might be tempted again, John. Gale Force gonna drag back Aizen. I don't believe he was underneath the sentry until they just placed him. So maybe Jocam playing some mind games with them.
I think he walked into the edge of the left side sentry as he was going to the creep wave. So he got clipped again. And that's going to lead into a little bit of smoke for Talon and see if they find a position. They don't have much forward vision up top, but they chance upon Ken Keeping the Storm down, keeping him away from even more galvanized attacks could be good, but they are getting rear-ended here just a bit.
Jump in, WS. Gonna find a nice quickie. Grimm's trying to buy himself a bit of time here. Does get the escape act off. A bit of time being bought here for himself, but nothing to write home about. They'll take his life away. Ken desperately just trying to clear out the creep wave before he leaves, but oh, Joe Cam's gonna catch him! He doesn't back off in time! He man, I don't want to be critical, John. He cleared the creep wave and then waited for like 2 extra seconds instead of just getting out of there. I guess he must have assumed Talon wouldn't be coming. But it feels like the Storm's game is just too important to be kind of dropping like this.
It certainly is.
Well, at least maybe they'll find Natsumi. And that's a big maybe, John, because Joe Cam's here. Never mind, John. They're not going to find Natsumi. It's not going to happen. Don't worry about it.
Almost going through the gate, Cuckoo, wanting to find out what's on the other side, as WS finds a little bit more for himself here.
Run, Grims, run. He's alright. Bottom lane is the push starts again from Talon. I'll tell you what, as much as I hate complimenting Windranger, Joe Cam's doing a brilliant job in every game we've seen it in so far.
He has. He's been setting up well. He's, again, just going back for the reliable Rod of Atos, for some chain control, maybe for some setup into some decent shackles coming in. And I think it's also just down to Ivory not being able to play to their strengths. Again, lanes didn't go out the way they'd want. You had a really atrocious time for Rupido down bot. Considering it's a melee matchup for Monkey King, he's always going to feel good. I think the key thing is we haven't really seen the combination, right? Like, we haven't seen Egg work with, say, Pit of Malice. We haven't seen maybe a good zip out with Avalanche Toss connecting onto bigger targets. And that commitment just hasn't been connecting in the way you want it on Ivory. And if you can't play to the strengths of your draft, you're really just banking on someone to make a mistake here, which it does feel like you are now.
Grims barely avoiding the stun from WS, but the Gale Force going to lock him in. Oh boy, it's just so rough for poor old Grims, who's going to get caught another time, and there is no one to help the poor guy out. He's gone. Just the Gale Force is just kind of dumb, isn't it, John? Like, I think people forgot about how much utility that Windranger Shards provides.
Yeah. I remember when it was first launched and people were laughing at it, but it also had global range back then.
It did?
It was the most busted shard at that point. Maybe not the most busted, but it was hilariously insanely strong. Because you just cast it anywhere.
That was when Seb came out of retirement for the 20th time and played for OG, and he just picked Windranger every single game. I remember that.
Okay, to be fair, I think that was the first of Seb's returns from retirement. His first one.
Sure? Ken?
Yeah, the first into a chain of him.
Ken might be retiring soon if he's not careful, John. Ken will zip out of it. Talon, 18k advantage now, very confident kind of lead. I mean, you look at the net worth graph and the way everyone's just stacked up. Like, Eisen, yeah, he's found some farm, but it's still a pos 1 tiny. He's just not even close to the BKB yet. Even if he has the BKB, it's... Yeah, you can stand there and fight, but you just got to be concerned about how much damage. And now you've got the Ags up on the Centaur. Workhorse is available now.
It's beautiful. We've got the Hitcher ride on Mikado. Gonna be able to ride around. Heck, WS could save Natsumi whenever he does something. Pretty sure he's doing this as insurance for good old WS. He's like, I've seen this before. I've seen it.
It's important.
Eisen.
There you go. Speaking of the devil, Natsumi gonna find Eisen. But Eisen's the one being targeted here as Grim's gonna try and help out, though I don't think there's any help in poor old Eisen. He's gone and so is Grim. It's a grim game, Jonathan. Excuse the pun.
That it is. It certainly is a grim game for Ivory. And for
to repeat
in
it,
particular.
Not necessarily repeat.
It
was pretty bad.
Just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure people heard that 100%. just in case they were tuning out a little bit. This is to wake you up. Got a big one from my Phoenixes.
How dare you say they tune?
You double down. You should. Oh, they never do. You know, because they were never tuned in anyway.
Ken's all right for now, but he's going for the creep wave. Ken, Blez, get out. Oh, They didn't see Makoto either. Ken, it's a... Oh, you're right, Ken. Get out of there. Oh, here comes the real problem, though. Joe Cam. Joe Cam's on the hunt. Ken's okay. He's fine.
No.
Although Oh, no. No, I've done it again, haven't I, John? Ken? Oh, no. Not Ken. He'll zip into the base, but it's the wrong base, Ken. Get out of there. Oh, poor Ken. He got his BKB, John. That's the good news. Bad news is he has no buyback, so that could be problematic.
Respawns are fairly short, at the very least 40 seconds for Ken. Bigger issue is that he has no galvanized left. He's going to need to take a loan out from his aunt to build his 1.1 meter home.
Well, we need the
Still
loan
a ways
shark.
off for him.
I'm telling you. That and dynamic pricing. Oh, dynamic pricing 100% should have been in Dota a long time ago. Rupido
God.
in trouble. Oh, Natsumi pops the BKB. Has no stun to speak of, though, so a bit of a win here for Ivory. Meanwhile, at the top lane, Cuckoo's being chased down by Eisen, who has no Blink Dagger up, so it's a bit of a slow process, but he'll finally get there. Cuckoo, actually still alive, but finally will go down. There's now the Stampede, and the turnaround. Escape back committed. Is it going to matter for Eisen? He's still trying to make his way out, but he's just completely surrounded no matter where he goes. But he will make it barely, though. WS! The stun in again, even with the workhorse. Eisen barely escaping, but not for long. He's gone. Maybe they find the Centaur, or maybe not. WS just tanks through all the damage. Natsumi finding Drick. Escape back to try and help out. But it was all an act, Jonathan Drick. No, he's actually okay. He's out. He's made it. But it's not getting any better, John. What is it, John?
Nah, I mean, you had WS surrounded by 4 of their heroes with Egg and Sunray right on top of him, and he still won't die. Like, he didn't even have his pipe barrier up left. It was already melted through. It's just not enough. There's no output here if you can't right-click with Eisen. And Eisen, again, he doesn't have big, beefy crits just yet. He has to finish his BKB. He's going to go for the Revenant's Brooch, which in this game is all right, although you're already playing into pipe, so chances are it's not going to feel as amazing as compared to, say, a Daedalus, but it is much more economical, at least for Eisen. And again, that's going to give a little bit of a boon in terms of output, but you're 25-7. Roche is open.
I love this Roshan throwing thing. I feel like this is the best addition to Roshan in a long time. Just starts throwing people. I love it.
You know what I wish? I wish I wish he'd start walking at 5 minutes. Spice up her mid lane a little bit. You know, if you know, someone's farming up. You know, you're having a duel. Roche stomps in and decides no fighting while I'm walking through, and kills
you know these mid players, John. You know, if one of their creeps gets touched, they get upset. It's horrible, dude. You know, every time I try to gank the other mid laner, if I touch the range creep, like if that creep loses 1 HP, I may as well disconnect, John, because I'm getting trash talk the whole game by my own mid lane. It's horrible. Imagine Roshan could do that, John, just deleting creep waves 5 minutes in. Imagine Quinn on Twitter. We don't want that.
I can't imagine Quinn. I don't need to imagine Quinn on Twitter. I remember Quinn on Twitter. I also remember the many faces of Quinn. I don't know. I love Quinn. Yeah, we've met him in person, but whenever I think of classic CCNC, I just think of Optic Gaming for some reason.
Oh.
I always go back to that. It's not even his Pango comments. It's just him playing Death Prophet and Lush as the catch one.
Yeah. Escape Act at least going to buy him a bit of time to find a way out. Eisen actually jumped in, but he can't sustain himself. Makoto just stands his ground. Says, where you going, boy? And with that, tier 3 tower under siege now. Gale Force Rupido just trying to get away. Rod Atos to lock him down. Oh my goodness. Makoto now getting jumped, but the ice path onto Ken. Ken's going to pop his BKB. Makoto, he's still mad fighting. He doesn't care. Grims is down now. Call it, boys. Enough. Throw in the towel. There you go. GG. My goodness.
Yeah, I feel like...
Did I say we're going to a third game, John? Is that what I said?
That's
I
what
say
you
that?
did, Mikey. You did say that. It's on the record. You know, we were live. We weren't in the back. Our faces were seen when you said could go into game 3. I did approve of your message.